A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a significant diplomatic development, Ukraine and its allies have expressed readiness for a full, unconditional ceasefire with Russia, set to commence for at least 30 days starting this Monday. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andrii Sybiha made this announcement on Saturday, coinciding with the visit of leaders from 4 major European nations to Kyiv. This visit comes amid ongoing efforts to persuade Moscow to agree to a truce and initiate peace talks aimed at resolving the nearly 3-year-long conflict. The visit from the leaders of France, Germany, Poland, and the United Kingdom marks a historic moment, as it is the first time these leaders have traveled together to Ukraine. Their arrival in Kyiv was not just a show of solidarity but also a response to what Sybiha described as a constructive phone call involving U.S. President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The leaders gathered to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II, lighting candles at a makeshift memorial for fallen Ukrainian soldiers and civilians in Independence Square. This visit comes on the heels of a unilateral 3-day ceasefire declared by Russia, which Ukraine claims has been violated over 700 times within just a day of its enactment. Both Ukrainian and Russian forces have reported continued attacks, raising concerns about the sincerity of ceasefire efforts. Sybiha criticized the Russian truce as a farce, highlighting the ongoing violence that has plagued the region. In a joint statement, the European leaders reiterated their support for President Trump's calls for a peace deal and urged Russia to cease its obstruction of efforts aimed at achieving a lasting peace. They emphasized the necessity of a full and unconditional ceasefire to pave the way for negotiations. Despite Ukraine's acceptance of a proposed 30-day truce by the United States, Russia has yet to agree to these terms, continuing its military actions along a front line that spans approximately 1,000 miles. Recent reports from local officials in Ukraine's northern Sumy region indicated that Russian shelling resulted in the deaths of 3 civilians and injuries to 4 others. Additionally, a drone strike in the southern city of Kherson claimed the life of another civilian. These incidents underscore the ongoing humanitarian crisis as civilians continue to bear the brunt of the conflict. French President Emmanuel Macron, speaking to reporters in Kyiv, highlighted the significance of the European leaders' visit, stating, "What's happening with Poland, Germany, and Great Britain is a historic moment for European defense and toward a greater independence for our security." He emphasized that this is not only crucial for Ukraine but also for the entire continent. President Trump, however, expressed skepticism regarding Russian President Vladimir Putin's willingness to end the conflict, suggesting that a peace deal may not be on the horizon. He hinted at the possibility of imposing further sanctions on Russia as diplomatic efforts continue. The situation has remained complex and fluid, with previous claims of imminent breakthroughs failing to materialize. Ukraine's European allies view the ongoing conflict as essential to the continent's security, and there is increasing pressure to explore ways to bolster military support for Kyiv, irrespective of Trump's potential withdrawal from negotiations. Ukrainian presidential aide Andrii, who met with the European leaders, stressed the urgency of ending the war with a just peace and the need to compel Moscow to agree to a ceasefire. As discussions progress, the leaders initiated a virtual meeting with Zelensky to update other nations on the formation of a so-called coalition of the willing. This coalition aims to bolster Ukraine's armed forces post-peace deal and potentially deploy troops to oversee any future peace agreement with Russia. In conclusion, as Ukraine and its allies strive for a ceasefire and peace talks, the international community watches closely, hoping for a resolution to a conflict that has claimed countless lives and destabilized the region. The coming days will be critical in determining the path forward for Ukraine and its allies as they navigate the complexities of diplomacy and military engagement in the face of ongoing hostilities. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.